What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Time to Talk Denver. My name is Tom Luthner, and unfortunately, the Nuggets lost in Game 7. I mean, there's not much you could do or say about it. I'm going to break down Game 7 before we get into anything else. I do want this episode to be exclusively about Game 7. Apologies for the delay, I was dealing with some stuff. And after this episode, my next episode will be off-season moves, what I think should happen, and to continue the Nuggets, as I said, offseason, and hopefully they can make the moves to become a championship contender again. But let's break down game seven. Awful game, man. Started so hot and then ended up just blowing it. So early in the game, Denver was missing shots. Not much you could do about it. Obviously, Jamal Murray wasn't. He was hot. The double teams on Anthony Edwards worked for a little while. He struggled. He actually had a very poor game. I think he had 16 points on like 8 for 20 something. I think it was something around those lines. But those double teams led to wide open shots for guys like Mike Conley, guys like Nod Reed, Jaden McDaniels, which I'll get into in a little bit. The 50-50 balls, you could tell that the Timberwolves wanted it more. Any ball that was just an offensive rebound or a long rebound, Denver wasn't going after it. It was as simple as that. You could tell. I mean, Christian Brown came in late in the game and he had the spark to help do that, but Denver did not want the 50-50 balls as bad as Minnesota did, and I think that led to the collapse in the second half for Denver. Um, for some reason, Mike Malone wanted to do what he did in Game 6 and throw Jamal Murray and KCP on a big. So Aaron Gordon could guard Anthony Edwards. So if you watch, as soon as the ball was passed down to the post, Jamal Murray was guarding Karl Anthony Towns, which fine. He's a great defender, but Cat dominated. I mean, Cat and Jaden McDaniels carried that game. Yes, the entire team played well for Minnesota, but when you're guarding a big as Jamal Murray, there's nothing you could do, especially a guy of Cat's caliber, who I know he struggled during the series, but he's still one of the best centers in the game. And then another thing was early in the first quarter. This is all in the first quarter. And then early, Denver couldn't hit any shots. Again, as I said before, we missed shots. There's two missed dunks early in the game. I believe one came from Jamal Murray. The other either came from KCP or from MPJ or Aaron Gordon. You can't be missing dunks in a game seven when you need to win. You need as many points as possible. Second quarter, we came out with momentum, which was good, and that's amazing, and there was more urgency in the second quarter. Way better defense in the first 2 minutes. Uh, a couple putbacks from Denver, which was great. They went on a 14-0 run, Denver, to start, and that's what you needed. You needed those runs, and you needed to keep going. Um, you could tell that the double teams were frustrating Anthony Edwards, which was, great, as you could see. And this is coming out after game one of Mavs Timberwolves. You could see that Anthony Edwards is worn down. Why? Because they had two guys on him just about the entire game, and he struggled. And that might kill Minnesota's run. Maybe I'm jinxing it now that I said that, but you never know. That might have just finished Minnesota's run. That Anthony Edwards is struggling. He struggled in game one of that series as well. Um, Minnesota was scoreless in the second quarter for 4 minutes and 31 seconds plus. So obviously there was probably a couple more minutes or a couple more seconds onto that time. I believe there was a timeout right after that. With 8 minutes and 42 seconds left, they were on a 16-0 run, so they scored two more points. And again, they left Minnesota scoreless. They let Jokic get a minute, just about. I think it was 50 total seconds of breath room, and within that minute, they didn't allow much to happen for Minnesota, but that took an effect later on in the game, and we could get to that. We'll get to that in a little while. Um, that quarter there was some bad foul calls. I believe, at least that's me just being biased, I guess. But if you go back and watch that game in the third quarter or second quarter specifically, I think that there were some calls that not only were they bad foul calls, but Denver didn't need to commit. Probably some Jamal Murray fouls. And again, what I was saying about last series with Jamal Murray, or last episode, Jamal Murray's too bipolar, and this showed it in the first half. He dominated. I believe he ended the first half with 24 points. He was dominating. There was no stopping Jamal Murray in the first half. And you know when you see Jokic hustle and Jamal Murray score like that, the Nuggets are unstoppable, and that's what they showed for that first half. And going into the second quarter, the second half, third quarter, it just did not look good for Denver, and I think we all know that. They started hot in the beginning of the quarter and to end the third, and then they just slowed down. There was, they slowed down way too much, really. They couldn't make a single shot. Um, Denver had 8 straight misses coming out of the third quarter and allowed the Timberwolves to go on a 15-1 run, which basically depleted the deficit that Denver had. Um, they went 6 scoreless minutes in the third quarter. Christian Braun did play a pivotal role in hustle. As I said before, there were some long rebounds that he got that led to a couple free throws. Just about ending the third quarter, the Timberwolves went on a 28-9 run, and that was history. That's history for Game 7. And it is so unfortunate um, as a Nuggets fan to watch that kind of game and realize that Jokic had to play every minute and we still couldn't win. I believe he grabbed 18 rebounds, around 30 points. I mean, you can't you can't you can't wish for anything better than that. There's literally nothing. There's nothing that you could want out of a player that's playing every single minute of the game. Yeah, and everybody criticized him, said, he could have got more rebounds at the end of the game. He could have played better defense at the end of the game. This guy risked everything that last game. He put his body on the line. He again played every single minute, sat for 50 seconds. Um, so yeah, the stat lines. And this is what I was talking about with Denver. And again, in the next episode, I will get into what I think they need to do in the offseason. Jokic had 34 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists on 13 for 28 shooting. Sure, he shot poorly from the three-point line, but again, he was exhausted at this point. He's been doing everything for the last 2 series. Jamal Murray, who again, I said ended the first half with 24 points, ended the game with 35 points. So your number one option just about the entire game, the highest scorer on the team, had 24 of his 35 points in the first half of the game. If you want to win playoff series in Game 7, I'm not saying Jamal Murray had to score 50 points, but what I'm saying is Jamal Murray had 24 in the first half, which gave Denver the huge lead, and ended the game with 11 more points. Which, sure, 11 points in a quarter is fine for a third, fourth option, not for your number one star who's putting up 24 and a half. But again, I can't put all blame on Jamal Murray. He shot 13 for 27, almost shot 50%. But the rest of the team forgot what basketball was. Aaron Gordon had 4 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists on 2 for 5 shooting. This is exactly what I said. If the Timberwolves can get Aaron Gordon to stop scoring, they're going to win the series. What did they do? Aaron Gordon did not take a single three-pointer. This is another thing I talked about. Aaron Gordon needs to shoot the three ball if they're going to leave him open in the corner, and he was not doing that, which led to the downfall of Denver in this series. Not only did Aaron Gordon lead to the downfall, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 5, 6, and 3. That's great for a bench player. You cannot be shooting 2 for 7 and 1 for 4 from 3, 2 for 7 from the field when you're supposed to be this great 3-and-D wing. Listen, I love KCP. Great role last year when he had somebody to sub him out when he needed to be. This year, there's nobody to do that. Christian Braun, who played 20 minutes off the bench, had 5 points. He had 5, 3, and 3. As I just said, 5, 6, and 3 as your starting shooting guard, playing 40 minutes in a Game 7 compared to 5, 3, and 3 to a guy who played half of that and took 4 less shots. So tell me who you think is better there, because I sure 3 more rebounds in 20 more minutes, I guess. Again, I'm not blaming KCP. The person who I believe is most at blame for this game is Michael Porter Jr. He struggled in the finals last year, and again, I'll get into that next episode. He shot 3 for 12 from the field and 1 for 6 from the three-point line. Again, Jokic shot 2 for 10. Murray shot 4 for 12. They had 34 and 35 points. Jokic had 19 rebounds. MPJ had 9 rebounds. That's what we need. He's 6'10". He shot 1 for 6 and 3 for 12 from the field. 7 points. He is supposed to be your elite third option, and he dropped 7 points in a playoff game. And the best part about him is that there is nobody to back him up on the Nuggets. Your backup is Peyton Watson, who, by the way, didn't play a single minute in Game 7. I'm not saying that's Mike Malone's fault. We needed scoring late in the game, and we didn't get that. We didn't need the defense. Sure, maybe you think now, okay, maybe those guys get a break when you're up 20 in the first half. But again, Christian Braun played 20 minutes, 5 points. Jackson Holiday, excuse me. Justin Holiday comes in for 9 minutes, doesn't take a single shot. Reggie Jackson, 5 minutes, doesn't take a single, or takes 1 shot and misses it. You have no backup. You have no depth on the Denver Nuggets, and that's what drew them away. Listen, credit to the Timberwolves. I believe they're the best team in the NBA. I think that now they're going to be worn out. Again, Game 7 against the best team, what I think is the best player in the NBA, Nikola Jokic. But Anthony Edwards, 6 for 24. Excuse me, I said 8 for 20-something. 16 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Fine, 2 for 10 from the 3-point line, same as Jokic. And he is getting the praise that he dominated this game, and he stands, and Denver stood no chance against him. Sure, he dominated early in the series, but he shot the same percentage as Jokic from the 3-point line, and Jokic had 20, 15 more points than him. I mean, I don't think he played that well. I think he got killed. I think Jaden McDaniels is what I said. If the Nuggets can stop Jaden McDaniels, or he goes back to what he was doing earlier in the series, they're fine. But Jaden McDaniels shot 7 for 10 and 3 for 4 from the 3-point line, 23 points, 6 rebounds, and was guarding anybody he wanted to. Karl-Anthony Towns, 8 for 14. Sure, he shot 1 for 6 from the 3-point line. He had 23 and 12. So when you're mixing that with another 10 points from Conley, another 13 and 9 from Gobert, another 11 points off the bench for Naz Reid, Kyle Anderson didn't play well, but it doesn't matter because everybody on their team is putting up double digits. There was 2 guys on the entire Nuggets roster that put up double digits, and nobody could help them. Nobody. There was no urgency. Again, those guys are tired, man. You have a 7-man, 8-man rotation with guys like Justin Holiday and Reggie Jackson coming off the bench. Not to discredit how good they are, but they're not the same level as Naz Reid. They're not the same level of last year when we had Jeff Green who skinned those pivotal minutes for Jokic, or Christian Brown, who didn't need to play as big of a role as he was this year. I just think that Denver needs to get into the depth, and unfortunately, that's what lost them this game 7 in my mind. I think I would have taken the bench, excluding Christian Brown. And listen, I love Payne Watson, but offensively, I would have taken the bench from any other playoff team that was left in the NBA and put over the Nuggets bench. I would have taken the Knicks bench of Precious Achiuwa or Deuce McBride, whichever one they didn't start, and Alec Burks over our bench. I would have taken the bench of Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell over our bench. I would have taken the bench of Naz Reid and whoever they even played, Kyle Anderson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Monte Morris, and Jordan McLaughlin over our bench. I would have taken the Thunder's bench. I would have taken Isaiah Joe. That's it from the Thunder's bench. And I would have taken any of the Mavs centers. Give me Dwight Powell. Give me Derek Lively. Give me Daniel Gafford. I would have taken any one of those players. I would have taken probably any scorer off the bench of Minnesota, of Dallas. Give me Tim Hardaway Jr. I would take that scoring off the bench. And that's another thing I'll get into next episode. I'm going to talk strictly offseason. But again, the lack of depth on Denver is what ruined this year's playoff championship opportunity. And unfortunately, the season's over. Hopefully, we can make some big moves without losing too many guys this offseason. But that'll do it for the Game 7 wrap-up. Again, I'm sorry I'm late. I was dealing with some stuff. Thank you guys for checking it out, and I hope to catch you guys next episode.